Alright, hello everyone. It's been a while since I've actually done a little voiceover during one of these races, so thought I might try it again. Here I just jumped into one of the best of series. We're doing the castle to castle route in the Curry Islands. No warm-up before this. I hopped on the bike like 1 minute before the race started, so not really going with intensity at the start. Letting the group stretch out. It's not really a problem. At least until the things thin out and maybe a gap will open up. Gotta jump across that. In this case, I'm just sort of cruising, trying not to go too hard. A bit in the yellow. My power zones. Noticing now it's getting a little thin. Seems like people in front of me are still working hard, but there's a point here where the gap opens up, where Rankin lets off the gas a little bit. Lets the gap open. Like, oh, now it's time to jump across. Let's put a little digging. Get to the back. People in the front have stopped pushing. You know, the bunch is sort of bunched up rather than, it's not stretched out. No, nice and easy. Just gonna stay at the back here. Bunch looks well behaved. No issues whatsoever. Now, trying to get to the actual race with the least amount of effort. That's what this race was about. Sort of the beginning of this race. It's just all flat, so no stress. I think we're going to pick it up until we get to the actual climb. Here, yeah, just sitting at the back. No one on the front is pushing. There's really no reason to push up into that pack. It's just making it harder on yourself. You know, just get the most amount of draft, but there is this little dirt section. You do have to kick it up, I don't know, 30 or 40 more watts. I'm into the green. Just make sure the rolling distance goes up. People could start pushing on the front to at least try to make a little bit of separation. But they didn't really seem to try on the dirt. Maybe a little bit after here, they've pushed on. So, gotta make sure I don't fall off the back. But they've backed right back off, since it should have gone harder on the dirt, I would think, if you actually wanted to make it hard for everyone else. But here we go, up through the normal, I almost consider them the normal dart pens in McCurry Island. Yeah, now we've slowed down back to normal speed. There's almost a 2 or 3 step climb. There's a little rise up through the banner, and then it's sort of flat through the pens. Sharp punch, a little flat, and then a longer drag up to the castle. Now I'm still at the back. There's no sort of point in moving up almost before the road starts to go up, but as the road starts to go up, the front will slow down, and if you're in the back and if you hit it just before the actual road goes up, you can sort of coast up through the group with pretty, reasonable effort. Not working too hard. I think I would have liked to have gotten up to, I don't know, 3rd or 4th wheel. That would have made the rest of this climb easier. But there was no point in really pushing at this point. Since everyone else, they went through that steeper section with a little more power. So you sort of stop in the middle of the group. But now I've sort of backed off to where the group is the fattest. No need to push harder. That's just going to make it harder on myself. And unless you're moving up, sort of staying where you are. Moving backwards a little bit is almost the most efficient thing to do. Now we have like the steepest part of this particular section of road. It's always going to be a little punch here. Do I want to move up here or not? I think I do a little bit. But it seems like everyone's pushing pretty hard, so at least my avatar doesn't move too far up at this point. You know, the only goal of this was to get to the top of this climb in the front group. But here, you know, flattens out, and those with ambition are off the front pushing a little bit. I sort of feel like, at least for me, when I'm up above 4-5, you know, that's effort. That's something you can keep up for quite a long time, but it's not going too deep into the well. Now here, stretching out, starting to thin out. Sort of have to be aware of if gaps in front of you start to open. And it looks like sort of a front group of, I don't know, 20 odd riders, 25 odd riders. And someone in front of me starts to let that gap open, so it's time to jump. Especially as here the road starts to go up, and it's sort of the longest, hardest part of this climb. Because it's been after the two other punches beforehand. At least for me, I'd say I'm moving at a faster pace. You know, I could let off and sort of latch onto the back of this group. But if you already have the speed in Zwift, it just feels like you might as well use it. So I stay at that power that I needed to get across. And, you know, this is only a minute and a half effort, so might as well just keep going. Don't let the auto brake catch you. And this will sort of help thin out the group for after the climb. I'm not sure I looked during the race to see if those few riders that were just off the back made it back on. It's kind of hard to tell, at least what happens when you're actually in the race. Now that I've gotten to the top of the climb, I sort of decided to butt off, let Bruisit go around, and he seems to be really pushing at a pretty good clip, so might as well follow. I'll be the sacrificial second wheel lamb, I guess. Since it's always harder second wheel versus sort of anywhere else in the pack, outside of the front. But it does look like that group of people behind us just make it back on before we hit this descent. I decided, you know what? No need for me to actually do any work. I did 5 seconds on the front on that climb. That's enough work for me. Here it seems like we've ended up with 24 in the front. You know, pretty good lead on a second group of 18 or so. Sort of the rest of this course is not that interesting. It's like we go down the hill and not much is going to happen when we're in the flat in Neokyo. Like the goal here is just to sit at the back if it's going to be as bunched up as it is now. If I'm not the person with the lowest watts, I'm disappointed. It's like looking through this group. I don't recognize most of these names. There is someone from the Out team in Sweden. I should know if that's an acronym or not. But I know a number of they have a bunch of really good riders on that team. So that's the one person I think I am really looking at. Along with that, the guy who was pulling at the end of the climb to sort of keep us away from that second group that got back on. I feel like those are the two riders that definitely looked like they had some ambition, or at least One that had ambition, and one that is on a team that has ambition. But here, just sitting at the back, make it easy. Yeah, there's a lot of flat after this. There's sort of no more features, maybe a slight drag for 10-15 seconds a couple of places when you go through Neokyo, but we don't go up onto the sort of second and third levels of Neokyo, so this course is just one castle. At least one castle climb and then one castle garden. Yeah, Ruzik, that was the other person I'm keeping an eye on. Here, once again, we're going through the dirt. No one really hits it, but you definitely have to be aware that the dirt is a thing that can make gaps. So you sort of see the power, you sort of anticipate, put yourself in a position where you can react, and then drift to the back when you're back to normal service. I'm also just keeping an eye. I think that is the finish line. So we go do a loop and then come back through. So no power up there. I think I originally got a arrow at the first banner, so I've just held it for the rest of the race. Once you get an arrow, hold it to the end. Well, here we're coming up on where you sort of get a little bored. So someone's gonna try something at some point during this flat section, and I don't actually remember who went off the front first. No, I'm still way at the back, so yeah, someone goes. And there's a couple of people that follow right away. So that's sort of, all hands on deck at this point. Everyone in the group has kicked it up. I've gone from blue, we're in the red. But I'm just managing the effort at this point. We've got like 4 off the front. You can sort of see on the mini map above, maybe 5. They haven't got a big enough gap to sort of really, it's not solidified in any way. People in the front of this group that I'm following are still pushing. But they've sort of let off a little bit. As you can see, I've sort of kept my power the same, and I'm starting to move through. One more person is jumping across. I feel like if they went harder in the front, I would have had to jump across. But here, the guy behind me had a van. I'll just drag everyone back once I hit the front and hit the air. And no one in that front breakaway group actually was pushing hard enough to hold the gap. And we all come back together. So, I did 5 seconds of effort after 20 seconds of sort of, holding on. And, my goal for this race was to try to get the best 15-second power I could. So the least amount of effort I can do to get to a nice bunch sprint at the end. That's what I'm looking for. If someone else would have brought that back in, that would have been great. But 5 to do 5 seconds, no worries there. Well, we still got 4 miles, and I'm not sure anyone else really makes a move until we get down to the end. Yokio looks nice. You see, we're back in the blue. There's a few little rises you gotta be careful. You gotta be aware of. Push up into threshold and above, just so that you stay in your position in the group. Make sure no one gets away, or you are aware if someone makes an attack. So you have people in the front pushing a little bit. It's just so hard. If you don't go all in, you're really not going to make a gap. And oh yeah, the internet cut out just for a second. That's always scary. T-Mobile 5G is not always the most reliable network provider. A few people also used arrows going into that banner. I'm really not sure why. They don't prescribe to the get arrow, hold till finish, I guess, theory that I do. There's really only one power-up that you want in the end of the race. You know, vans are okay, but only one of them is a winning power-up. Vans will let you hold on. Not that you can use tactics if you get some of the other ones, like the ghosts and the steamrollers in the right location. Or the feathers going up a hill. But still, this is a lap finish. You want the arrow. You know, see more power-ups were thrown right there. I mean, everyone had a feather. Yep, got a fish for the arrow. I think we get one more power-up before the end. It's actually a pretty interesting little section. So someone drops their arrow right before the banner and makes their attack. It looked like... I thought they might double up on it when they did it, but I think on replay I saw that he dropped the arrow again quite a bit later on. Because yeah, I just think it's... like if you watch Holton, who's there, way off to the left, he just went off the screen. Yeah, he's in sort of the blue and yellow kit. He starts moving up right before this banner. Because yeah, we're a mile away, so you sort of have... this is where, if you're doing most of the end of race attacks will happen between here and 1K to go. Yeah, he's moving up. There is also someone moving off the front. There's someone dropping an arrow in some vans. And you can see that Holden dropped his arrow right before he went through the banner. So now I'm kick it up, make sure that I am following those who are following him. Seemed like there were quite a few people who were interested in keeping this together, so I didn't have to. This is good for my goal. Good 15-second effort. Yeah, Holden now has a few seconds on us. But those, I mean, I'm still doing 350, 300 to 400 watts. So I am following people who must be doing 5 or 6 watts per kilo. It folds up, he's up there doing 7 that I can see, so he won't be getting a huge gap with how hard people are working. Because now we're down to 0.3 miles to go. I was going to, as soon as I hit 0.2, it was my time for me to go, and I'm rolling up on those guys in the front. Hold just a few seconds off, and it's go time. Hit the arrow. Get a really good punch. I was really hoping to sustain sort of 900 a little bit longer than I did here. So now I'm down to 8, 7. But at least in terms of the race, it was a good sprint. And I think Holton just held on for second, which is pretty good. That's a solid effort for him there at the end. Hey, thanks, everyone.